let's see here if I can get to the next slide. So what we plan to do is, if you looked at the summary of the webcast, we were looking to talk about how community can really help your business scale while reducing costs. You know, there are a lot of benefits to community, and Shane alluded to a few of those. And we really wanted to talk about one specific use case for community. It really has to do with how you scale your support in this new modern era where customers are coming online and wanting to change the game in terms of how they interact with you as a brand. We've got a couple of case studies we want to walk you through, and then Shane's going to do a demonstration. I think most of the people that are on the phone are using SugarCRM, either for sales or support or for a combination, or maybe you're even evaluating that and you're thinking about how you can bring SugarCRM together with community to create a cost-effective self-service solution. So we're going to talk through those things on the phone here and through this webcast, and then invite you to ask us questions that you might have towards the end. And then we'll, if it makes sense and you'd like to dive a bit deeper into our solutions and how they can help in terms of self-service and other interesting use cases, we'd love to work with Levementum and you to have those conversations. So just really quickly, who's Get Satisfaction? You may already know who we are. We were founded about 7 years ago, and we consider ourselves a leading provider of online customer communities. We've been in this game for a while, and we have over 1,100 paid communities. We actually started off with a freemium model, which is why we boast over 75,000 total communities. We don't offer the free community I guess that package anymore today. And we've really evolved our platform to address the upmarket needs of companies from small to medium enterprises and even large enterprises, predominantly divisionally or line of business. So what do we think about when we think about what a customer community really is? What we mean is, with online communities, we're really talking about an online platform for facilitating interactions between you as the brand and your customers on the new digital channel. These should be interactive, open networks where people are really engaging on the topics that they care about. They're always on, and they're connecting your customers not only with you, but also with each other so that they can have a broader audience with which to get value from your solutions. And just briefly, I'll share a few of our customers just so you get a sense that it's not one particular vertical that we specialize in. We actually see really powerful communities driven by the Get Satisfaction platform across many different verticals. And this is just our top 5. We actually have representation across a number of other verticals, in case you don't see yours represented here. And some of you, if you've been interacting with SugarCRM's new support, you might have noticed that they've introduced a new community solution, and that solution is now powered by Get Satisfaction. So now let's talk a little bit about that problem of how you scale with the new customer, right? And who is this new customer that you're starting to see? Well, you probably already know it, and this as you look at this slide, some of this is very obvious to you. The phone is quickly becoming the old landline phone is quickly becoming a dinosaur as customers have really rapidly shifted to online ways of communicating with you. And if you're in a customer support function, you probably already know that your customers are looking for multiple different ways to interact with you. Picking up the phone, as I said, is just really a last resort now. And we recently came across this kind of interesting Aberdeen study that forecasted, this is about a year ago, that forecasted the phone as a support channel would actually be dropping 20% over the next 3 years, while online support channels like search and web self-service would actually be increasing by as much as 50% each year, which is a really impressive stat. And really that's all driven by customers just wanting a more expedient way to get answers to their questions, share ideas about the brands and the products they're using that they're really passionate about, and providing you direct feedback on your brand. And how are they starting to do that? Well, if you're like me, if you're a consumer of virtually any product that you might have a question about, this is often where you start now. You start at that Google search bar. And why? Well, let me just give you a quick example, and I'll start with Sonos. So Sonos is actually a Get Satisfaction customer, but more importantly, they build some really cool products in the wireless speaker domain, and some of you might even have their products. But I want to give you an example where I'm a Sonos customer and I'm thinking about the really cool new play bar. And here's a pretty common scenario. I could drive to Best Buy and I could check it out, but time is precious. And really, what I have is I've probably already sold on it because it's really cool technology. But I have one really specific question, which is, is that compatible with the new Xbox One I bought? And specifically, I'm interested in, does it effectively play enhanced surround, the way I expect it to? And actually, I encourage you to go play around with this scenario after the webcast and actually see this experience for yourself. So what I'm going to do is simply do a Google search, because that's what we do today. I want to go ask this question. I'm just going to go use a Google search bar and see if I can find the answer to my question. So again, and I did screenshot just for purposes of time, but if you opened up an incognito browser and you typed in that question, boom, I get my answer, right? And that's exactly what I expect as a consumer of Sonos products today, that I'm going to be able to get that answer right away. And that's why we use search engines, because today they're just returning the answers that we're looking for, whether we're a consumer or we're a user of business software. And this is just really interesting stat that I came across, that today this is happening more than 70,000 times a second just for Google alone. So one of the questions that you then want to ask yourself is, you think about how consumers and business users are now really using online mediums of search to get answers to their questions. Is your customer's behavior to get support from you aligned with your support channels? In other words, if customers are searching for answers online, what percentage of online searches by your customers actually return the right answers? That while your customers are searching online for answers to their questions, you've invested in, heavily in the typical kinds of channels of support, I'm quite sure. I actually know some of the customers here that are on the webcast, and I remember working kind of behind the scenes in the sales process with them, and so I know that you have invested in these typical channels of email, phone, chat. Maybe even now you're looking at Facebook and Twitter, but you certainly have some kind of help desk solution in place, and you probably invested in a knowledge base. And you're really, if you're like many of the customers we talk to, you're really challenged each day with keeping those support channels up to date, cost effective, and really easy to navigate for your customers. And your growing problem is actually that these support channels are really not optimized, for the most part, for online search. And so in other words, you're investing in these support channels that are no longer efficiently aligning with the way that customers want to be served. And when a customer doesn't find the answer to their question online, your support costs actually begin to grow. And when they do, your support costs, actually, as you know, they're going to be increasing dramatically. So So the question then is, traditional support methods are becoming less effective at satisfying your customers, and what is the result of that? Well, we know, and if you do any of this research online and you look at different industry analysts that are talking about this particular problem, there's some really famous customer retention studies that tell us things like a dissatisfied customer will tell 9 to 15 people about their experience, or that overall poor quality of service is actually the #1 reason for customer churn, or disloyalty to a brand, or that it takes a staggering 12 positive experiences to make up for 1 negative unresolved experience. So those are pretty incredible statements that are backed by thousands and thousands of interviews across brands and their consumers to understand those kinds of results. So your ability to connect with your customers online the way that they want to connect for support is rapidly becoming really the cornerstone of your ability to retain them. So this is where we see Get Satisfaction in Communities beginning to integrate with your traditional support channels as an enhanced way of providing your customers with self-service support that actually scales and helps create unification around the issues you see. And it actually does a very good job of not only giving customers visibility online in the way that they want to be served, but communities powered by Get Satisfaction also fit well and integrate very well into your traditional means of support. So what I want to do is talk you through a couple of quick case studies just to leave you with an idea for how some of our customers are actually seeing value returned from the use of community and integrating community into their traditional support channels. And then after we do that, Shane's actually going to show you a bit more visually how it works and how Get Satisfaction integrates with SugarCRM. So actually, literally a little over an hour ago, we ran a webcast with SPS Commerce, which was recorded, and certainly if you're interested in it, we can provide you a link. It'll be up on our website in the next couple of days if you'd like to spend an hour after you see what I've talked about here in summary, and to really go through a deep dive SPS Commerce does in terms of why they were looking at community and the process they went through to justify community in their business and to actually make it a very strategic component of how they provide customer support and have really enhanced their customer experience. So just very briefly on SPS Commerce, they're the retail industry's largest business network. Companies like Best Buy, whose name I used earlier, actually connect with SPS Commerce's network in order to bring, I forget exactly how many suppliers Best Buy has, but they've got thousands, and so they're an example of one of the retailers that relies on SPS to drive supply of all the products that you see when you go into a Best Buy store. And they're really they're a nice example of a mid-market customer. You can go check their financials out online. And so when SPS was thinking about scaling up their business, and they are growing quite rapidly, they were thinking about the challenges related to customers having limited visibility into where the product was going. As you can imagine, if you're used to developing software or in this case this network, you're probably very curious about how the product is going to evolve to make it easier for you as a retailer or a supplier. Customers were looking for much more effective self-service options. We talked a little bit about how that is the trend. And SPS really wanted to, as they were scaling up, look for ways in which they could increase the overall customer experience. And then certainly they were, as they were looking at ways to address the first three, they were also noticing that their cost of support was growing, and they wanted to try to find ways to more effectively scale with their growth and keep their cost of support to their customers in line, or in fact actually reduce it. So when they looked at, when they specifically looked at community, and this is actually their slide, this is the high-level strategy that they put together for it. So they're going to enhance their product innovation, they're going to improve their overall customer experience, and they're going to scale their support offering. And as I said, they go through a really detailed storyline about how they came to these conclusions, how they identified that Get Satisfaction ultimately would be a great solution for them. And what they have seen, and this is just a brief screenshot of their community entry point. Shane's actually going to show you a bit more comprehensive view of SPS's support experience. But what they saw that was really truly amazing over the course of their implementation is they quickly gained 1,000 members. They saw the community scale up to 27,000 page views per month, and over the last year, over 450,000 total page views. Now, when they look at what that all means to their business, they specifically want to look at a couple of things as it relates to their objectives and their overall strategy in implementing community. The first one was, across all those page views, there's almost 500,000 page views. How many people were looking at topics that related to questions or problems that were resolved? And what they found is that over a third of the views were related to what we call completed topics, or topics that have a resolution, where there's an official answer that's either been provided by one of their community members, that's been audited by somebody at SPS, or SPS has actually provided that answer. And I actually want to invite you to go to the webcast to actually hear what the numbers are that they achieved in terms of cost savings. But it's literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've been able to very effectively cap the growth of their support organization. And not only that, they actually generated in their first year 67 new relevant product ideas and implemented 3. And they see, SPS sees this, while the value in terms of support has been really dramatic for them, actually one of the newest and most interesting ways in which they're seeing value from the community is in ideation and more rapid innovation with their champions in the community. The next example that I wanted to talk about is more of a, so that, SPS is a B2B style of customer of ours, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Kudo, which is a B2C example of community powered by Get Satisfaction. This is a really interesting community, and again, I invite you to go to Kudo Mobile's site and go check out their support experience. But Kudo was, what they are is they're a new telephone provider, relatively new telephone provider in Canada, disrupting the telco market with really low prices and a very simple, straightforward type of business model. And when they looked at the approach that they were going to take with that kind of model, they knew that they had to dramatically keep costs down in terms of functions like support. And one-on-one or one-to-one interactions was just going to be way too expensive. They could not support a model where they would have phone or email as the primary way to actually achieve success with support with their customers. And so they actually decided to go with a Get Satisfaction community back in 2011. And they took a very strong approach to a community program that invited all of their customers in for self-service. And the stats were just really incredible in the first year. And then by the end of 2012, believe it or not, and Nathan Roth, who is the manager of the community, actually is quoted with talking about a 99% self-service rate. So think about that. That means that 99% of the time, customers come into the community as the first line of support and walk away with an answer that is satisfactory to them, and don't feel as though they actually need to speak directly to the brand in order to get resolution. That's really, really impressive. And when they saw those results, they actually started to think about ways in which they could more effectively get value from their community. And they began to invest in what they call their Mobile Masters program. And it's just a group of champions that love the brand and are not employees and spend a lot of time in the community. And what they actually found is by putting together a champions program within their community, they were able to actually get those champions. And I think there's about 12 or 13 of them that actually spend 15 hours a week of their own time just sitting in there answering questions. And they've actually been able to bring up the self-service rate as a result to 99.9%. So it's really incredible. And in fact, they also, just like SPS, identified that their customer community was the strongest source of ideas for how to improve their mobile phone service. And so they came up with a really innovative concept that is an ideas page. And it's linked right off of their community, so you can actually see all of the ideas that they've generated from their community, which ones have been implemented, and they actually give credit directly to the users that initiated the ideas. And so they've created this extremely powerful and loyal brand community that's helping them drive just incredible cost savings around their business, and then of course just award-winning service. And in fact, I can't give too much of this away, but you'll begin to see new services that come out from Kudo that rely even more on community for self-service in order to give customers back even much more economical phone service plans. So those were, that was a B2C example in the telco space, as well as SPS Commerce, a B2B example. And what I'd now like to do is I'd actually like to turn it over to Shane so that you guys can get a more enriching experience in terms of how our community solution works. And Shane is going to show you a little bit of what we were talking about with SPS Commerce as well as Kudo, and then show the SugarCRM experience. Right.
All right. Thank you for that intro, Jeff. And just want to make sure that everyone can see my screen.
Yep, we can see you, Shane.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of different community examples that you will see are relevant, because we'll take a look at SPS Commerce and the way they've implemented community and distributed it in different areas of their site as well as social channels. And then we'll also take a look at Kudo Mobile and the way they've gone about implementing their community. And then from there, I'll show you exactly how you can connect SugarCRM to your customer community and unlock additional value by tying it in with your system of record. But again, I want to emphasize the first place that we'll start today is the first place that your customers and prospective customers start, which is Google. And the reason Get Satisfaction is so highly indexed via organic search is because we have a very large network that's full of user-generated content. And I'm sure if you're like me or any other consumer out there, you've definitely done the Google search and landed in a forum or a Yahoo Answers or somewhere where it's it consists of peers having conversations around that product, service, or whatever it may be. But for the first example, I'm actually going to take you through how a customer can land into the community from search. So relevant to SPS Commerce, maybe I'm a retailer or a supplier, and I'm wondering how I correct a document that I've already sent with SPS Commerce. typical type of support question and very commonly asked in Google when you take a look at their page views and where customers are accessing the community from, which entry points. So when I go ahead and put this in here in an incognito window and hit search, what's amazing is you'll see that the first result actually takes you to the community, but so does the second, third, fourth, fifth, and even sixth results here on the first page of Google. Now, you can start to understand how powerful that is from a support standpoint by allowing your users to, navigate to your community and find resolution on their own. But you start to think about the other departments that can benefit from this, particularly marketing, where you have the ability to actually curate the content that comes into your community and do things like tag it with Munchkin code for your marketing automation tools. That's something we can get into down the line, but for the sake of time, let me go ahead and click into this topic. In the click of a button, I'm actually brought to the conversation in the SPS Commerce community powered by Get Satisfaction. You can see that you can go ahead and pull in your custom header and footer, and this question was asked about 10 months ago. As an FAQ user, which is a best practice we recommend during implementation, and then addressed here by an employee that's clearly badged, so you have that trusted response, and you see that there is other multi-threaded conversations, so you'll start to understand how we are optimized for peer-to-peer engagement, that one-to-many type of interaction that we're used to having on any social channel. So it's not like your customers or prospective customers are going to need to be trained on how to use this. They're going to immediately identify with the interface and know how to engage and get resolution. A couple other things I want to point out here. We've actually rebuilt our application to be responsive. So as I pull this in, you'll see that it'll snap to fit the size of really any device, a mobile device or a tablet. And as the use of mobile and tablets continue to rise, you'll benefit from having this available for your customers. A couple other things before we move on. You see that 14 people have said, hey, I have this question too. And 18 different people are following this conversation. But you also notice that this question is marked as answered. Now I'm going to tell you how this is going to make your life easier or your support rep's life easier when you implement a community. Instead of dealing with this on a one-to-one basis, which is how a lot of our customers handled it, and SPS handled it prior to implementing community, when you move this as a community manager or a moderator from no status to answered, everyone who's engaged in the thread, anyone who's voted on this or followed this will get an email notification saying, hey, your question's been answered in the SPS Commerce community. In that email, they can see the answer or choose to click a link back into the community topic to engage further. So a lot of value you can add there, but we're not only optimizing the experience for your end users and prospective customers, we're also making life easier for you on the back end, and we can definitely spend time offline going into what we call a managed workspace, which is your moderation queue. Now, moving on to how this is exactly integrated into their site, I think you'll be very interested to see the way in which they've implemented navigational elements. So when I click into customer support, if I'm a customer or if I'm a prospective customer even, I can immediately understand, hey, do I want to share an idea, or do I need to watch a training video, or do I need to go here? All of these navigational elements point to different areas of the Get Satisfaction community. They've done a really good job here and driven a lot of additional page views to their training videos, which helps with onboarding, and that's integrated into the community, and I'll show you how here in a second. But the other thing I want to touch on is our widget architecture. And widgets are essentially entry points to the community that allow you to provide contextual help or expose community content where it may be relevant, whether you want to expose feedback on product pages, or a support widget that's showing your most common topics on your submit a ticket page so that you're driving additional deflection there. This gives you the flexibility beyond having a single location to go ahead and provide help where it's relevant. So we have this big belief at Get Satisfaction, and we always have, is that your community does not need to be a single destination. By exposing the community in places your customers visit every day, whether that's organic search, the community on your site, using widgets on your social channels, or really on any device, or even off of Twitter, you're going to drive more engagement. And engagement is a key piece of success criteria for a vibrant and long-lasting community. So we're constantly thinking about how to drive people back to the community and get them to identify with it as the place to go, to ask questions, share ideas, report problems, and give praise. And the way I want to round out the SPS Commerce example is you could click into the support center, and you saw the homepage of their community here that Jeff had a screenshot of. You can also click into categories, which is a great way to allow your users to navigate, again, to areas that are relevant to them. And so whether you want to have video tutorials, or a category for FAQs, or your different products and services, or an area for partners, this gives you a great way to organize content. And when I click into this, this is different than your typical static knowledge base. Again, we're putting search first everywhere to drive deflection, to drive immediate resolution, and to create a more engaging experience for your customers and prospective customers with Get Satisfaction. So I hope this gives you a good understanding of the way that SPS Commerce has gone about rolling out their community with Get Satisfaction. It's really great to be able to work with prospective customers, because every company has some overlapping goals and challenges that they face, but it's really fun to understand your vision for community and then work with you to make that happen for your company. And so I was going to go into an example for Kudo Mobile, but I think for the sake of time, the SPS Commerce example does it justice. We can definitely schedule more personalized one-on-one demonstrations if that's something we want to go through after the presentation today. Now, the second part of my presentation is going to show you how community drives additional value beyond just integrating into your site and then the customer-facing channels that you have. One thing that we always stress and we continue to optimize is the fact that you wouldn't be just purchasing another piece of software with Get Satisfaction. We really pride ourselves on having the ability to get you up and running quickly, but also be able to have the flexibility to seamlessly plug in and connect to the existing business systems that many companies have today. So whether that's SugarCRM, which we'll use today, or whether it's another CRM tool, or it's Jira for bug tracking, or a ticketing system, or marketing automation, that's something where this will plug into your existing business ecosystem and become seamlessly integrated into your day-to-day workflow. So you're taking a look at a test community here. I seeded a couple of topics in here so I can show you how they flow into SugarCRM. But again, when you come to the community and you ask a question or you share your idea, whatever it may be, and hit search, you see that the community will always do a search on itself first to bring up relevant content. Now the idea is the user gets their question answered and they're on their way, or they choose to continue creating a conversation and either get it answered by a peer, another brand expert, or an actual employee or subject matter expert from your company. So you see that this conversation was asked in their community. What's great is if I bounce over to SugarCRM, just as a salesperson, for example, can see these objects called accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads. Well, we pull in and created a custom object called Get Satisfaction Topics. And what's great about that is you can click into one of these and you'll see that you can actually reply directly from SugarCRM. You can actually pull in a window and manage the community from SugarCRM. You have the ability to actually create a support case from a community conversation. So imagine a situation where something is posted in your community that isn't technically suitable for a one-to-many situation. Maybe it's about a credit card or a specific account. There may be situations where that arises, so we want to cover our bases there. You can, in the click of a button, turn that community topic into a one-to-one case and follow up accordingly with this integration. You can also start to understand when people become community members and maybe they're asking questions that are very pre-sales oriented. Well, maybe you want to create a lead from that conversation that occurred because you have access to anyone's email address who engages in your community, and then have your sales team follow up accordingly. Or maybe it's an existing lead that you actually want to spin up an opportunity that's generated from community. So again, this is a tool that adds value across multiple departments with a primary use case around allowing you to scale your support organization and continue to grow your business without increasing costs, but also driving product feedback, understanding what's important to your customers, and also being able to use the community as a lead generation tool to continue to drive growth in your business. And so the last thing I would point out about the integration and just speak to is every community post will be appended to an existing contact record in your CRM, which is Sugar, what we're looking at here. So if Shane Weiss is in your system as a contact related to an account, next to the conversation history, the email exchanges and phone calls you've had, you'll see the lifetime post history in your community. And what the value that delivers is it gives you the ability to really get a full 360-degree view of your customer, start to identify brand advocacy, or is this somebody we need to give a little bit more attention to, and drive deeper insights. Not that you can't do that with our community health analytics, which are part of our offering, but this gives you the ability to do it within your CRM, and adds additional value from that standpoint. And with that, it looks like we have about 10 minutes left here. I hope this gave you a better understanding into the value that our platform can deliver, how it can tie in with your existing systems, and also be distributed across multiple customer-facing channels to drive more engagement. Appreciate the time today, and I don't know if I should hand it over to you, Holly, or Jeff.